Hey beautiful souls, welcome to House DeLuna. Today's pick a card reading is volume 3 of my past life echo series. I'll be using the soul purpose activation spread to look at the gifts you've carried across lifetimes, the karmic lessons you're working through now, and the timeline shift that's unfolding for you. This is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Choose your pile intuitively, and you can pause here if you need more time. Hey everyone, if you chose pile 1, this is your reading. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future messages. For pile 1, your dominant past life gift is coming through as the 5 of Pentacles and Moon Memories, the past. The 5 of Pentacles is often associated with hardship, loss, and isolation, moments where it feels like support is out of reach. We see two figures moving through the cold, hungry, exhausted, unsure of where to turn next. And yet just beside them is a church, a place of refuge, help, and warmth, even if they don't immediately recognize it. What's important here, though, is not just the struggle itself, but what you learned by surviving it. This card speaks to lifetimes where you were pushed to the edge, emotionally, materially, spiritually, and you still kept going. Where others may have given up, you didn't. You learned how to keep moving even when there was no guarantee of rescue. Paired with Moon Memories, this becomes very clear. This oracle card speaks to the stories we carry from the past, the narratives that quietly shape our present and future. It suggests that part of your soul mastery is learning how to rewrite the meaning of what you've lived through rather than being defined by it. There's also something very important here. This feels like a portal card to me. When I look at this combination, I don't just see struggle, I see transition. It's as though if we step through this doorway, we see the same two figures on both cards, but now they're somewhere entirely different. No longer freezing in the snow, but standing on warm ground. Even the clothing is the same. Like they weren't prepared for the shift, but the shift happened anyway. And that tells me something powerful about you. Your dominant past life gift is resilience alchemy. You carry an innate ability to move through impossible situations and somehow come out changed. Not hardened, but wiser. You know how to take what looks like loss and turn it into momentum. How to adapt, how to reorient, how to survive and then thrive, even when the odds were never in your favor. This doesn't mean your current lifetime has been easy, though. It means your soul has learned how to work with the energy itself, how to adjust, recalibrate, and move towards survival and success in ways that seem almost magical from the outside. And that is exactly why the next position matters so much. Because this strength didn't come without a cost. And that leads us directly to your karmic challenge. The karmic challenge is coming through as the 9 of Swords in reverse and Moon called meant to be. This combination tells me that you are coming out of a long mental or emotional night, but you're not fully trusting the dawn yet. The 9 of Swords in reverse suggests that the worst of the anxiety, fear, and inner turmoil is no longer happening in the present moment. You've already survived it. You're not in the same darkness you once were, and yet part of you still carries the memory of that pain. The instinct to stay alert, to stay guarded, to stay prepared for something to go wrong. That's where Moon Called comes in. This oracle card speaks to divine timing and inevitability, to paths that unfold, not because they're easy, but because they're aligned. It suggests that what you went through was not random, and neither is the way you're healing now. Your karmic challenge isn't that you struggled. Your karmic challenge is learning to believe that the struggle is actually over. There's a tension here between your lived experience and your soul's knowing. On a soul level, you already understand that certain events, even the painful ones, were part of a longer arc. That they shaped you, refined you, and positioned you exactly where you are now. But on a human level, it can still be hard to let go of the vigilance that once kept you safe. This is a card of unwinding, slowly teaching your nervous system that you don't need to stay braced forever, that you don't need to keep replaying worst-case scenarios to be protected. What's meant for you does not require constant anxiety to arrive. In fact, this oracle card suggests the opposite. What's meant to be will meet you when you're softer, not sharper, when you're listening instead of scanning, when you allow yourself to trust that the path beneath you is already forming as you walk it. And that naturally begs the question, if the struggle was part of the path, what part of you is ready to reawaken now that you don't have to survive anymore? And that's exactly what the next position will reveal. But right now, let's look at where this begins to show up in your life today. For pile 1, where this pattern is showing up in your life right now comes through as the Four of Cups and drawing down the moon, knowledge. This tells me that in the present moment, you may be feeling quietly disappointed in your options. Not in a dramatic way, but in a low-grade, lingering sense that nothing in front of you is quite it. The Four of Cups often appears when someone has been through enough that they stop expecting much. You're not hopeless, you're just tired of being let down. So you find yourself replaying what didn't work, what didn't arrive, or what didn't live up to its promise. And without meaning to, you may be overlooking what's trying to reach you now. What's important here is that this is not a lack of gratitude, it's emotional fatigue. Life, the universe, spirit is offering something new here, something different from the options you've already tried. But because your attention has been fully fixed on what went wrong down here, this new cup hasn't fully registered yet. Not because you're incapable of receiving, but because part of you is still processing disappointment. And this is where drawing down the moon deepens the message. This card is a reminder to reconnect with the unseen, with intuition, spiritual support, and the part of you that knows there's more to life than what's happening in the physical realm right now. It's an invitation to lift your gaze just enough to remember that guidance doesn't only arrive through logic or effort. Sometimes it arrives through stillness, ritual, prayer, or simply asking for help. This card suggests that the shift doesn't come from forcing positivity. It comes from remembering that you're not doing this alone. When you reconnect with spirit, however that looks for you, clarity begins to return. Your emotional field softens, and suddenly what once felt blocked starts to feel available again. This position is showing us that the disappointment you're carrying isn't permanent. It's a pause, a moment of reflection before something more aligned steps forward. And that's important, because what's coming next isn't about what's being offered to you. It's about what's quietly waking up inside you. Let's look at the hidden potential that's ready to surface. Pile 1's hidden potential is coming through as Justice in reverse and Day Moon, love. Justice in reverse often appears when something is felt deeply unfair, when truth was obscured, accountability was avoided, or clarity was withheld. This tells me you've been navigating a situation where not all the information was available to you, yet you were still expected to make decisions that carried real weight. That alone is exhausting. This card acknowledges that you've been fighting an uphill battle, not because you lacked wisdom or effort, but because the full picture wasn't visible yet. There were missing pieces, unspoken truths, delays that felt personal even when they weren't. And here's where the hidden potential begins to stir. Justice in reverse isn't just about injustice. It's about inner recalibration. It's the moment when you stop trying to force clarity from the outside and instead begin to trust your own internal compass again. When you remember that you don't need every answer immediately to move forward with integrity. The Day Moon adds an important layer here. This card often speaks of love, miracles, and divine timing, but for you, it's coming through as illumination. Secrets surfacing. Information revealing itself when you're emotionally ready to receive it. Not through struggle, but through alignment. This card suggests that something you've been waiting to understand will soon make sense. Not because you chased it, but because you created the inner space for truth to arrive. And that's the reawakening. Not control, not certainty, but trust in your own ability to discern when the time is right. You're being asked to pause. Not to give up, but to breathe. To remember why this matters to you in the first place. To choose peace and connection over rumination and self-blame. The answers you're seeking are not lost. They're simply waiting for the moment when you're no longer approaching them from pain, but from presence. And that matters, Because what's activating next doesn't come from pushing. It comes from alignment. Let's look at what your guides are activating for you right now. Pile 1, what your guides are activating right now comes through as the Six of Cups and Moon in Detriment, Cut Your Losses. This combination speaks to comfort, restoration, and emotional grounding. The Six of Cups is a card of nostalgia, homecoming, and gentler moments, memories that remind you who you were before things became so heavy. It carries an energy of safety and familiarity, of being held rather than having to hold everything together on your own. Your guides are activating this not to pull you backward, but to steady you. The Moon in Detriment suggests that your current situation has been taking more out of you than you may have even realized, especially on an emotional or energetic level. There's a sense of fatigue here, of pushing through on willpower alone when what's really needed is reassurance and support. This isn't about giving up. It's about knowing when to soften. Your guides are not asking you to fight against the current right now. They're asking you to let yourself be supported while you regain your footing. That may look like reconnecting with family, chosen family, friends, or places that feel familiar and grounding. It may look like returning to something that once brought you comfort and reminding your nervous system what safety feels like. If there's been distance between you and people who love you, whether through time, circumstances, or simple exhaustion, this is an invitation to gently close that gap. Not to stay there forever, just long enough to remember your center. There's an important message here. Blessings often arrive when you stop bracing. When you allow yourself to rest, receive, and be met where you are, clarity begins to return. Strength doesn't disappear when you pause. It reorganizes. And that's why this position leads us forward, not backward. Because once you've had the chance to regroup, to feel supported instead of alone, the next step becomes much clearer. Let's look at what action brings you back into alignment with your purpose. Pile 1, your next aligned step is coming through as Strength in Reverse and Moonlight Enchanted. Strength in Reverse is not about weakness, it's about honesty. This card suggests that having to pause, retreat, or change course has been deeply uncomfortable for you. It may have shaken your confidence, particularly if you're someone who's used to pushing through, winning, or holding it all together no matter what. There's a tenderness here. You may be feeling a mix of emotions: frustration, disappointment, grief, even anger. Not because you failed, but because you were asked to soften in a moment when you thought strength meant enduring without pause. But this card is very clear about something important. The action here is not to force yourself back into power, it's to redefine what power actually looks like. Strength in Reverse asks you to acknowledge your vulnerabilities without judging them, to recognize where something hurt, where something cost you, and where you're still healing, not as a flaw, but as wisdom earned through experience. This is about self-awareness, not self-criticism, because you cannot rebuild from clarity if you're still pretending you're unaffected. True strength returns when you stop fighting your own humanity and allow yourself to be exactly where you are, honest, imperfect, and still worthy. Moonlight deepens this message. This oracle card speaks of transformation that happens quietly, not through force, but through acceptance. It's a reminder that magic doesn't return when you're hardened. It returns when you make room for it. The aligned action here is simple, but profound. Let yourself be seen by yourself first. Release the need to prove anything. Allow gentleness to be part of your process. When you accept your life as it is in this moment, not as a permanent state, but as a chapter, something shifts. The energy begins to move again. Intuition sharpens, and possibility re-enters the room. That's why this step matters so much. Because once you stop measuring yourself by who you think you should be, you create space for who you're becoming to step forward. And when that happens, your timeline doesn't just change gradually, it redirects. Let's turn over the final cards and see how your reality shifts once this alignment takes place. You have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and Moonlight Serenade, change your tune. With the Queen of Pentacles in reverse here, your future begins to steady. This shows a return to emotional and practical security, especially in the home, in close relationships, and in your sense of well-being. It suggests that things become calmer, more grounded, and more nurturing. Not because everything outside of you suddenly changes, but because you do. There's a strong sense here that someone in your life begins to meet you differently. This may be a partner, a family member, or someone you share a home or emotional space with. Where there was once imbalance, immaturity, or tension, there's a gradual shift towards responsibility, care, and mutual effort. Maybe not overnight, but sincerely. Communication softens. Instead of feeling like you're constantly managing or compensating, you begin to feel supported. Moonlight Serenade deepens this beautifully. This oracle card speaks to reconnection, heart-to-heart conversations, emotional honesty, and a renewed sense of closeness. It suggests that when you approach the situation from calm and respect rather than exhaustion and defense, harmony becomes possible again. There's a subtle but powerful reminder here. When you change the way you hold the situation changes how it meets you. As this timeline unfolds, your life feels more peaceful. You're able to relax into the present instead of bracing for what might go wrong. Joy becomes easier to access. Comfort feels deserved again, and the energy around you matures. Whether this is someone stepping up or you choosing a dynamic that truly supports you, the result is the same. A home life, emotional environment, and an inner world that feels safer, warmer, and more aligned. This isn't about perfection, it's about sustainability. And once you step into this version of yourself, grounded, self-honoring, open but not overextending, the path forward becomes not only clear, but kinder. Pile 1, that's all I have for you today. Remember, this reading cannot replace your own intuition. It's meant to walk alongside it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust yourself above all else. If this message resonated, leave a moon emoji in the comments or simply like the video. It truly helps this space grow. Thank you for walking this lifetime with House DeLuna, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Everyone, if you chose pile 2, this is your reading. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future messages. For pile 2, your dominant past life gift comes through as the Mother of Fire paired with Beltane in reverse. The Mother of Fire is a powerful presence. This is someone who naturally commands attention, not because they try to, but because they radiate. You've carried this energy across lifetimes. Confidence, magnetism, creativity, and the ability to shape environments simply by being in them. You don't follow trends, you set them. You don't blend in, you stand out. People notice you the moment you enter a room. They're drawn to you, curious about you, sometimes even captivated by you. But Beltane in reverse tells us something important about how this gift has played out. While the Mother of Fire brings attraction and influence, Beltane reverse suggests difficulty forming true mutual bonds. Finding a connection that goes beyond chemistry, beyond appearances, beyond projection. There's a sense here that in many lifetimes, people wanted access to you, but not depth with you. They were drawn to your light, your beauty, your confidence, but not always willing to meet you in your inner world. And that creates a very specific kind of loneliness. When you're admired from a distance, but rarely known. When attention is plentiful, but intimacy rare. This isn't because you're unlovable. It's because your energy is powerful, and not everyone knows how to approach power with sincerity. So your dominant past life gift is fire, presence, allure, influence. But woven into that gift is the lesson of discernment, learning who sees you, not just what you represent. And that's going to matter deeply as we move forward in this reading. Because this gift shaped not only how others approached you, but how you learn to protect yourself. Moving into position 2, we come to the karmic challenge you've carried across lifetimes. With Mother God reversed, there's a deep struggle here around trust. Not just trusting others, but trusting yourself. Trusting your inner voice. Trusting that your intuition knows where to lead you. At times, you may have felt disconnected from spirit, from your higher self, or from any sense of divine support. Signs appear, synchronicities happen, and yet part of you explains them away. You tell yourself it's coincidence, that it's safer not to hope. And this doesn't come from a lack of spiritual ability, quite the opposite. It comes from having been disappointed after listening to it before. This oracle card suggests that manifestation feels blocked, not because you aren't capable, but because belief itself has become fragile. When the inner mother voice goes quiet, life feels harder than it needs to be. And then we see the Nine of Earth in reverse, which brings this challenge fully into the physical world. This can look like success without fulfillment, status without intimacy, and independence that slowly turns into isolation. Or for some of you, the opposite, leaning too heavily on somebody else for security, because doing everything alone became unbearable. Both patterns come from the same root, a longing for safety, connection, and reassurance that never quite landed. And so somewhere along the way, a quiet decision may have formed. If no one is really going to see me, why keep trying? This path may have brought recognition, comfort, or stability, but it also left a hollow space that money, attention, and achievement couldn't fill. And that brings us to the central question of this karmic challenge. Is this life about surviving without needing anyone, or remembering how to let yourself be met? Because how you answer that changes everything that comes next. Where this energy is showing up for you right now feels quiet on the surface, but heavy underneath. Jumbi in reverse tells me that life may feel stagnant or muted, not because nothing is happening, but because something wants to happen and has been held back for a long time. This card often appears when we cling to the familiar, even when the familiar no longer nourishes us. Not out of weakness, but out of fear of what change might cost. What's important here is this. There is nothing external blocking you. This is not about bad luck. It's not about fate working against you. This card says the pause has been internal, a protective instinct that stayed too long. Your ancestors stepped forward here not to judge, but to remind you. You already survived what you were afraid of. They ask you now to release the fear of change while carrying the wisdom of the past with you, not as an anchor, but as a compass. The Three of Fire confirms this turning point. Life is trying to meet you with opportunities. The path forward exists. The foundation has already been laid. But this card is clear. Hope alone is not enough anymore. You're being asked to participate, to notice the signs you once dismissed, to trust the nudges you talked yourself out of, and to take one small, honest step instead of waiting for certainty. Because the Three of Fire is vision paired with action. You don't need to leap. You don't need to burn everything down, but you can't stay hidden either. If what you're seeking is true connection to yourself, to others, to something meaningful, then movement matters. That movement begins with communication, with authenticity, with allowing yourself to be seen, even when it feels uncomfortable, and yes, even when it's scary. What's reawakening within you now is a deeper remembering of who you are, not of who you've been trying to be to survive. The ancestral medicine of the patriarch is simple but profound. Act as if you are regal. Act as if you are powerful. Act as if you are wise. Not because you're pretending, but because your body already remembers. This is not fake it till you make it energy. This is embodied knowing. Your bones remember authority. Your blood remembers leadership. Your DNA remembers sovereignty. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need permission, and you certainly don't need to shrink. Think back to the Mother of Fire energy from position 1, your beauty, presence, magnetism, and influence. This card asks you to stop apologizing for those qualities, to stop dimming them to make others comfortable, and to step out of your own way. Hidden within you is the ability to own your space unapologetically and to allow your life to reorganize around that truth. The Two of Earth in reverse reflects the tension that's been building. When your outer world feels chaotic, it's often because your inner priorities are no longer aligned. You may have been juggling too much, adapting to expectations that don't truly honor you, or choosing material stability while your soul quietly asks for something more meaningful. This card invites you to reassess. What are you giving your energy to that's draining you? What commitments no longer reflect who you're becoming? Flexibility is your ally now, and so is discernment. You are being asked to release outdated roles, obligations, or perspectives that once served you but no longer do. As you reclaim your authority and realign with your inner guidance, something shifts naturally. The right people find you, the right opportunities meet you, and the chaos begins to settle. Have faith in this. When you allow your true self to stand fully present, unedited, unmuted, your soul tribe doesn't need to be chased. They recognize you. In position 5 of what your guides are activating now, you have Father of Water in reverse and Mother of Water in reverse. Before I even go into the meanings, I want to pause here, because this is not a coincidence. You received both divine counterparts in the same position, both in reverse, from 2 entirely different decks. That doesn't happen by accident. That alone tells me this message is significant. Your guides are showing you that you already carry both sides of emotional wisdom within you, the masculine and the feminine currents of feeling, intuition, empathy, and discernment. And despite everything you've been through, you've managed to keep both alive. The Father of Water in reverse speaks to emotional restraint, learning how to hold yourself together, sometimes by putting feelings on the back burner just to survive. It reminds you, gently, that turning away from emotions doesn't make them disappear. It simply delays their release. This card asks you to let your guard down, just enough to feel what needs to be felt, not to drown in it, but to move through it. Mother of Water in reverse mirrors this message from another angle. She speaks of emotional overload, exhaustion, or moments where intuition was ignored because it felt safer not to listen. This card often appears when someone has been deeply empathetic for a long time, sometimes too much for their own good, and learned to shut parts of themselves off to cope. Together, these cards are not condemning you, they're explaining you. Your guides want you to know that the emotional challenges you faced aren't random. They're surfacing now because you're finally ready to resolve them. This lifetime holds the opportunity to break a repeating pattern, so you don't have to keep carrying the same emotional weight forward again and again. This is ancestral healing in motion. And here's the part that matters most. The presence of both counterparts in the same position accelerates the healing process. It suggests that balance is not only possible, it's within reach. It also hints that as you learn to fully embody emotional honesty within yourself, a deeper soul-level connection will become available to you. For someone who has been seeking true connection, not surface level, not performative, this is huge. Your guides aren't asking you to become someone new, they're asking you to come back to yourself. In position 6, you have the Conjure Woman in reverse and the Ten of Air. The action being asked of you right now isn't about force, it's about choice. The Conjure Woman in reverse speaks to untapped potential. You're becoming clear about what you want to create, but there's hesitation around fully committing to it. Not because you don't believe in your magic, but because using it means things will change. This card isn't saying you failed to manifest, it's saying you've been holding back. Ancestral medicine comes through strongly here. When you choose to pursue what you truly desire, you're not only honoring yourself, you're healing the unfulfilled dreams of those who came before you, including echoes of your own past lives. Let their sacrifices and yours mean something. The action here is to decide, not to rush, not to control every outcome, but to choose what you want and stop negotiating with fear. Assume that what you're calling in is possible and allow yourself to move toward it one step at a time. The Ten of Air reminds you to be gentle with yourself in this process. This is a card of mental exhaustion, overwhelm, and distorted perception, often appearing when someone has been carrying too much for too long. You don't need to fix everything all at once. You don't need instant results, and you don't need perfection. Some things are beyond your control, especially at the beginning of a new path. Progress will come in waves, not all at once. If you don't see immediate results, that doesn't mean it isn't working. It means it's still unfolding. There may even be moments of doubt when things do begin to change, moments where the old familiar feels safer than the new unknown. Remember then, endings are not failures, they're thresholds. The action you're being guided to take is this: trust your magic, choose your path, release the past gently, and give yourself grace as you move forward, because this is where your life is meant to go next. Which brings us to your final cards. These were kept hidden for a reason, not because they're negative, but because they represent a turning point. You have the High Priestess in reverse and the Maiden of Fire. The High Priestess reversed shows a period where your intuition felt muted, distant, or hard to trust. Not because it disappeared, but because it was quieted by fear, overwhelm, or the weight of expectations placed on you. At times, you may have sensed what your inner voice was trying to say and still turned away from it. Not out of weakness, but because listening would have required change. This card gently asks you to slow down and go inward, to create space for feelings you've been pushing aside. When emotions are repressed, they don't vanish, they linger, and they weigh on the spirit. Avoiding yourself has been making things feel heavy, but here's where the shift happens. The Maiden of Fire enters with courage, excitement, and renewed spark. This is the part of you that remembers how to feel alive, the part that trusts curiosity more than fear. Where others see uncertainty, she sees possibility. Together, these cards tell a story of reintegration. You stop silencing your fire to feel safe. You stop doubting your instincts to stay comfortable. You allow yourself to want what you want, fully, honestly, and without apology. For many of you, this timeline shift isn't about becoming more spiritual. It's about becoming more you, embracing your passion, following what lights you up, letting excitement guide you instead of anxiety. And if stepping into your intuitive gifts feels intimidating, that's okay. There's no rush. You've already mastered the lessons of fire, confidence, and self-expression in this lifetime. That alone is enough. Your intuition will meet you when you're ready. This timeline leads towards a lighter heart, renewed joy, and a future shaped by authenticity rather than fear. One where you trust yourself, not because you have all the answers, but because you finally believe in your own inner knowing. And that trust changes everything. Pile 2, that's all I have for you today. Remember, this reading cannot replace your own intuition. It's meant to walk alongside it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust yourself above all else. If this message resonated, leave a flame emoji in the comments or simply like the video. It truly helps the space grow. Thank you for walking this lifetime with House DeLuna, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! If you chose pile 3, this is your reading. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future messages. For your dominant past life gift, we have the 5 of Cups paired with the 28th path, the Star. At first glance, the 5 of Cups can be misunderstood. It's often associated with loss, disappointment, or grief, but in this position, it's not showing pain. It's showing wisdom earned through contrast. This tells me that across lifetimes, you've learned how to move through endings without becoming trapped in them. You understand that not every future you imagine is meant to manifest, and instead of clinging to what's fallen away, you instinctively know how to turn towards what still remains. Your gift is emotional discernment. You know when to release, when to accept, and when to redirect your energy without spiraling into bitterness or self-pity. The Star confirms and deepens this. This oracle card is the path of hope, inspiration, and conscious manifestation. It's the ability to hold a vision even after disappointment, not blindly, but wisely. You don't give up on your dreams when something doesn't work out. You refine them. You test ideas, experiment, observe what works, and discard what doesn't without taking it personally. In fact, what I'm seeing here is that you're naturally very good at manifestation because you understand contrast. You know how to use disappointment as information rather than a stopping point. This doesn't mean everything works instantly, but it does mean you rarely get energetically or emotionally stuck. Your soul remembers how to move forward with clarity, optimism, and grounded hope. For your karmic challenge, we have the Three of Cups paired with the 22nd path, Justice and Adjustment. The Three of Cups speaks to friendship, community, celebration, and soul connections. This tells me that you don't just form friendships, you form soul bonds. Many of the people you've surrounded yourself with have traveled with you across lifetimes. These are relationships built on mutual affection, shared growth, and karmic resonance. You've likely gone through many lessons together, which is why these ties feel so strong and familiar. But this is where justice steps in. Justice is the path of balance, karmic adjustment, and clear-eyed truth. It asks you to look honestly at where energy is still flowing evenly and where it may no longer be. Recently, you may have started to sense subtle shifts in certain relationships. For some of you, this looks like noticing words or actions that feel misaligned. For others, it's quieter, simply the awareness that a connection has reached the end of what it came here to teach. This doesn't mean there was betrayal. It doesn't mean love was false, and it certainly doesn't mean anyone failed. Sometimes the karmic lesson is simply completion. Justice reminds you that not every soul contract is meant to last forever. Some are meant to prepare you for the next chapter. Releasing them doesn't erase what was shared, it honors it. This can feel bittersweet, holding gratitude and grief at the same time, but it's also a sign of growth. Your challenge here is learning to let relationships evolve or end without self-blame, without resentment, and without forcing balance where it no longer exists. Change is the only constant, and choosing alignment over attachment is one of your soul's most important lessons in this lifetime. In the position of where this is showing up in your life right now, we have Judgment in reverse, paired with Hode Splendor, the sphere of communication, clarity, and conscious decision-making. Judgment in reverse suggests that there's part of you that you're keeping just slightly hidden, not only from others, but from yourself. When you're with people who truly understand you, your mask comes off. You feel seen, you feel safe. But what this card is showing is that there's another layer beneath that, a deeper truth you're still integrating. You may be reflecting on past connections, past versions of yourself, or past choices, and realizing that something about those environments pulls you away from the future you're meant to grow into. There can be a sense of guilt here, or sadness, even a quiet regret, not because you're making the wrong choice, but because choosing your next chapter means acknowledging that you've outgrown certain spaces. Judgment in reverse gently asks you not to punish yourself for this awareness. This is not a moral failing, it's an awakening. Hode reinforces this message by asking you to step into clarity, not emotion-driven reaction, and not the expectations or opinions of others, but calm, grounded discernment. Right now, you know exactly which path aligns with your higher calling. You can feel it. You can see it when you dream of the future. What's holding you back isn't confusion. It's the knowing that once you step fully onto this path, there's no going back. And so you pause, not because you're unsure, but because you understand the power of your own manifestation. This position is showing you that hesitation doesn't mean misalignment. It means you're standing at the edge of a real turning point. When you choose gently, without guilt, without self-doubt, and without judging the version of you that needed time to arrive here. In the position of hidden potential reawakening, we have the Seven of Swords paired with the 25th path, Art, Temperance. The Seven of Swords here speaks of ingenuity. This is the ability to move through life in a way that is intelligent, intentional, and quietly self-directed. You don't need approval. You don't need consensus. You instinctively know how to adapt, how to strategize, and how to protect what you're building until the timing is right. This card asks you to act in alignment with your integrity, not loudly or performatively, but cleanly, from a place of honesty with yourself about what truly serves your highest good. The 25th path, Art and Temperance, deepens this message. This is not about restriction, it's about devotion. It's the moment you choose long-term alignment over short-term comfort. Not because you should, but because you can feel the difference in your body, your energy, and your spirit. This path teaches self-sufficiency, the kind that comes from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you're no longer willing to trade your peace for. Yes, this can mean releasing habits, distractions, or patterns that once felt soothing. But this isn't loss, it's refinement. As you walk this path, you may notice certain truths rising to the surface, within you and around you. not to cause disruption, but to create clarity. This reawakening is strengthening you. It's raising your frequency. It's teaching you how to pour into yourself first, not from emptiness, but from abundance. You are learning how to build from a full cup, and that is power. In the position of what your guides are activating right now, we have the Ten of Swords paired with Yesod Foundation. The Ten of Swords arrives to close a chapter that has already run its course. This can reflect a painful realization, an ending, or a moment where the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Often this shows up through a fractured friendship, a relationship that no longer aligns, or a belief about yourself that can't survive in the light any longer. It can feel intense in the moment, but this card also brings liberation. What's ending now is something that was quietly draining you, and in its release, clarity returns. Yesod Foundation asks you to look gently at the structures of your life, your habits, routines, and the emotional and energetic patterns you return to when you're tired, unsure, or seeking comfort. Your guides are not asking you to uproot everything at once. They're asking you to notice, with compassion, what's no longer supporting the person you're becoming. Have you been waiting for the right time or staying in the familiar because it feels safer than the unknown? These cards together don't come with judgment. They come with reassurance. You're not behind. You're not failing. You're simply standing at the natural end of a cycle, and your guides are gently and lovingly guiding you towards a foundation that feels more honest, more aligned, and more sustainable for the long term. Nothing will be taken from you without your consent. This is about choosing growth in a way that honors your nervous system, your heart, and your timing. You already know what's ready to shift, and you're supported as you take the next step, one steady choice at a time. For what action to take to align with your purpose, we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Element of Earth. The Knight of Pentacles is the most grounded and stable of all of the Knights. This is slow, steady magic, the kind that doesn't rush, doesn't burn out, and doesn't collapse under pressure. This card reminds you that every small, intentional choice you make today quietly multiplies your harvest tomorrow. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. What's being asked of you now is consistency, showing up for yourself in simple, tangible ways. This path can feel repetitive at times, even unglamorous, but there's deep power here. Knight of Pentacles people succeed, not because they rush, but because they don't quit. Feed your motivation by allowing yourself to envision the future you're building, not as a distant dream, but as something you're actively shaping through your daily choices. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens your foundation. The Element of Earth confirms this message and gently brings your attention back to the basics. Your body, your environment, your resources, your sense of safety and stability. Ask yourself, what needs tending to right now? What small adjustment would bring you more support, more ease, more grounding? This isn't about perfection, it's about care. This card also encourages you to reconnect with the natural world. Nature helps regulate your nervous system and anchor your energy when things feel uncertain. Whether it's a walk outside, time near water, gardening, or simply breathing deeply under the open sky, grounding yourself physically will help everything else fall into place emotionally and spiritually. You don't need to force propulsion, you just need to get moving in the right direction. Trust the slow build, trust the steady path. This is how lasting success is created. The final position shows how your reality will change if you follow the path laid out before you. You have the Ten of Pentacles and the 18th path, the Chariot. This is a powerful closing combination. The Ten of Pentacles speaks to legacy, not just money or material success, but emotional security, chosen family, and a life that feels rich in all the ways that actually matter. This is about building something that lasts, something stable, something you can finally rest inside. This card tells me that you're entering a phase where love, abundance, and belonging begin to weave together naturally, not because you forced it, but because you stayed true to yourself. Let this sink in. You don't have to struggle to earn this. You don't have to prove your worth anymore. This is long-term success that you're able to enjoy and share without fear of it being taken away. The Chariot confirms this shift and adds an important layer. This is success after difficulty, forward movement after inner conflict, a moment where your heart and your will finally move in the same direction. This charioteer isn't rushing, she's focused. She knows where she's going. She trusts herself to get there. This tells me that once you commit to the path you already know is right for you, momentum builds quickly. not chaotically, but steadily and intentionally. You're learning how to hold the reins of your own life without burning yourself out. This combination also points to being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people that support you long term, especially in career, finances, and community. But the most important shift here is internal. You finally believe you deserve a life that feels good. Not just someday, now. This is a timeline where you stop surviving and start building, where effort is rewarded, where stability doesn't feel boring, it feels safe. You're not late, you're not behind, you are arriving. Pile 3, that's all I have for you today. Remember, this reading cannot replace your own intuition. It's meant to walk alongside it. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust yourself above all else. If this message resonated, leave a tree emoji in the comments or simply like the video. It truly helps the space grow. Thank you for walking this lifetime with House DeLuna, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!